So we basically know that the Raiders season is over at this point. We have no head coach, we have no GM. I know we're going to be going now and looking for those future guys. But before we talk about any of that, I know a lot of people have been talking about that, but we'll wait on that just a little bit. I want to kind of fast forward and look ahead into the NFL draft. Now, we do know that we have the number 6 overall pick in the NFL draft, and knowing that the Raiders really do need a quarterback in this year's draft, it's going to be kind of hard to sit there at number 6 and get the guy that you really want, unless you reach on another quarterback at that position. And knowing the Raiders, I wouldn't be surprised at that as well. Now, I did a mock draft, I think about a week or two ago, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I actually wanted to react to some of the mocks that some of these analysts and even some of these experts project the Raiders to pick at number 6. Of course, being at number 6, there's so many different options for the Raiders and so many different needs for the Raiders that I feel like it's gonna be kind of interesting to hear some of these different picks. Now, before I do start off with this video, if this is the very first time you're coming across my channel and you love the Las Vegas Raiders, the offseason is right around the corner right now, and we know there's gonna be a lot of news, a lot of things going on leading up to free agency and the NFL draft, heck, even looking for our next head coach and GM. So if you guys are interested in all of those, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. Now, this article is coming from sportingnews.com, and I thought, you know what, let me react to this and, you know, also give you guys what I think about all of these picks and also get your guys' opinions on these at the end of the video. Now, the first one I'm going to read off is from Vinny Ear from Sporting News. He has the Raiders selecting quarterback Jaylen Moro out of Alabama. This is his explanation. The Raiders have pushed themselves out of the top 5, but they can still land their franchise quarterback in Moro, who's had a up and down season for the Crimson Tide, but still has all the markings of a successful NFL dual threat. Now, you guys already know how I feel about Jaylen Moro. He's my 3rd quarterback, you know, on the draft board. If we can't get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, he's the next best guy for me. And then there's Jackson Dart. I mean, a lot of people could go back and forth on that, but knowing the talent that Jaylen Moro has, knowing the ceiling that he has, and knowing the skill set that he has to be a quarterback in the NFL, I think the sky's the limit. And he could possibly be one of, if not the best quarterback in this draft. But the Raiders cannot start him in year 1. He's a quarterback that's going to have to sit down and learn behind a veteran quarterback. And we got to go get a head coach and an offensive coordinator that could bring out all the best abilities and all the best things out of Jaylen Moro to succeed in the NFL. There was a lot of questions going in the NFL with guys like Jalen Hurts, with guys like Lamar Jackson. And yes, Jaylen Moro does have his flaws. Every quarterback does. But that does not mean that he will be a bad quarterback in the NFL. I honestly wouldn't feel comfortable getting him at number 6. Yes, it's going to be a big reach. The only way I see the Raiders going, getting a quarterback at number 6 is either one of the top 2 guys falls down, or Jaylen Moro or Jackson Dart or even Dylan Gabriel has a great road to the NFL draft. If their pro days check out, if the combine checks out, if they look great and a lot of things start going up, then who knows, we get a quarterback at number 6. But I feel like that's just a little bit too rich for us. I would be more comfortable in getting Jaylen Moro later in the 1st round. Either we trade back or either we trade up into the late 1st round, or just get him in the 2nd round if he's still available. But Jaylen Moro definitely is a quarterback that I would love to see in the silver and black. Now, the next expert that I do want to review is Jordan Reed of ESPN. He has the Raiders selecting edge Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Now, he says that the Raiders seem to have played themselves out of selecting a quarterback for the 2nd consecutive year, as 2 wins in their final 3 games put them out of position for Ward and Sanders, barring an explosive trade-up. Like their process in drafting Brock Bowers in 2024, the Raiders could select the best player available in this spot. The 6'3", 259-pound Carter fits that bill, as he would be the number 2 overall prospect on my board. He has a lightning quick first step with a 17.7% pressure rate and 11 sacks this season. Of course, Abdul Carter would be my number 1 defensive player if he was still available at number 6. I know getting a defensive player right here, especially on the defensive line, a lot of people might question, yo, the Raiders don't need that. Our defensive line is already good, but that doesn't mean that our defensive line can't get any better, right? You know, we have Max Crosby still on the defensive line. We have Malcolm Koonce. We have Christian Wilkins. We got guys like Adam Butler, Jonah Laulu, who just joined last season. And you can't forget about Tyree Wilson. Now, with Malcolm Koonce and Caleb Von Chason going into free agency, who knows if the Raiders will be able to bring them back. I still hope that they do, and also still go ahead and draft Abdul Carter. That would just add more talent to the defensive line. And you know what they say, with a great defensive line, it makes it much easier for everybody else on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary. So getting Abdul Carter at number 6, one of the best defensive players in the draft, just a talented player, somewhat like with Micah Parsons, just imagining that opposite of Max Crosby, man. This defense, the skies would be the limit. So, I wouldn't be mad at this. This is definitely going to be one of those picks that not a lot of Raider fans really want to get, especially at number 6, but it's also a pick that nobody's going to be mad at, like Brock Bowers last year. I know a lot of people were surprised. A lot of people were questioning it. I questioned it as well. But looking at it today, we got a first-team All-Pro rookie tight end, man. In his first year, making the first-team All-Pro, man. That says a lot, man. And he's definitely going to be a building block. And I feel like Abdul Carter can also be like that for the defensive side of the ball. Now, moving on to the next guy, Connor Rogers of NBC Sports has the Raiders selecting cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. Now, he says that Johnson looks like a lockdown ball-hawking superstar in 2023, but injuries slowed him down in 2024. This will give the Raiders defense a true number 1 corner who can flip the field at any moment. Now, just like Abdul Carter, the Raiders will be selecting the number 1 DB, I believe so, in this year's draft. Again, even though I kind of said that a lot of Raider fans will kind of question the Abdul Carter pick, I don't think a lot of Raider fans would question Will Johnson, because our secondary, especially the cornerback room, yes, we do have some talented cornerbacks on the roster, Jack Jones and even Nate Hobbs, but we don't have a true number 1 cornerback, and it's been quite a while since we had a true number 1 cornerback. I would go all the way back to Nnamdi Asomugha, and even before that, Charles Woodson. So, if we could get somebody like a Charles Woodson, or even in that realm, I think would do wonders for this defensive side of the ball. A lot of people are comparing Will Johnson to Patrick Surtain of the Denver Broncos, and heck, if we could have a lockdown corner like that on this roster, like I said before, man, I feel like the defense would do their job, and it just makes it easier on everybody else's job. So if we're able to get Will Johnson at number 6, of course, I would not be mad at this pick as well. It's not a quarterback, but it's definitely a position of need. Now, Connor Hughes of SNY has the Raiders selecting running back Ashton Jenkins out of Boise State, saying that the Raiders are the team that could reach for a quarterback here. We'll see how the pre-draft process shakes out and if someone jumps up the board. Until then, Jenkins is the pick. There are other options like corner and offensive lineman, but Jenkins is maybe the best offensive player in the class. He had 2,601 rushing yards and 29 touchdowns this season for Boise State. Now, I've kind of talked about Ashton Jenkins a little bit in my draft video and my Raiders hot take video, and talked about how great he would be on this team. He's the number 1 running back. He was a Heisman runner-up. So he's a guy that could definitely help this offense out, especially in the backfield. We don't really have an RB1 right now. So if we brought him in, he would definitely fit the bill for the Raiders at the running back position. But the only knock that I would have is nothing against him, but the fact that this draft class is loaded with so many great running backs that we could get later in the 2nd, 3rd rounds. So getting a running back at number 6 is still a little bit rich for me. If the Raiders went in that direction, I wouldn't be mad at it, because if we don't get a quarterback, if we do get someone like a Jaylen Moro or somebody that has to sit down for another year, we could go and sign a veteran to start. And I believe having a running back like Ashton Jenkins, if he could do what he did in college in the NFL, or at least I guess 75% of what he did, then I feel like he would definitely help out the quarterback position a lot, because we all know when the running game is going, then it helps out the passing game. So even though I wouldn't mind him at number 6, I would kind of pass on that for now, because there's so many other players that we could get that would be much more of a need. Now, the last expert is Trevor Sakima of PFF. He has the Raiders selecting wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan out of Arizona, saying after trading away Devontae Adams mid-season, the Raiders created a serious need for a wide receiver 1. They will likely be in the market for one in free agency, but if that fails, they should be in range for one of the top receivers in the draft. Here, they get a top receiver on PFF's big board in Arizona's McMillan. He's a 6'5" receiver with some of the strongest hands in the class and a unique after-the-catch mentality for a player of his size. He felt like a lone bright spot on the Wildcats offense this year. Now, T-Mac is definitely one of my favorite guys that I wouldn't mind getting here at this position. If we're not able to get a quarterback, if we don't go in the defensive side of the ball, even over a guy like Ashton Jenkins, T-Mac would be one guy I would like on this roster. Go get that wide receiver 1 to add on to this team, and whoever we bring in that quarterback, he could be their best friend. We haven't had a number 1 wide receiver since, I guess, Devontae Adams, so that's not really saying much. But knowing the drop off from T-Mac to the next wide receiver, I just feel like he could have that, somewhat of a Mike Evans type of run in the NFL if all things go well. And just imagining a big body receiver that is athletic and can get the job job done alongside of a great tight end like Brock Bowers, and then you add him alongside of, Jacoby Myers, who just had a great season this past year, and then whoever else we fill in at the wide receiver room will be straight. This would definitely be a luxury pick for the Raiders if the Raiders went in this direction. I know that we could go in so many different directions, but Terrell McMillan, outside of getting, one of the top 2 quarterbacks and even getting some of the defensive players, would be my top pick. Someone that I really want to get, especially because this dude is poly, and I got to look out for the Usos and stuff like that. But I could definitely see, T-Mac rocking the silver and black and going out there and putting on a show. But with all that being said, Raider Nation, I wanted to kind of do this video real quick and just kind of just go over some of the different prospects the Raiders can get at number 6. Like I said before, sitting at that position, there's so many different possibilities that the Raiders could go in. We could always trade up, we could always trade back, but we could sit there and get the best player available, and I believe that's what the Raiders most likely will do, depending on who the new GM and new head coach is going to be coming in. We'll see as the weeks go on where they want to go and where the chess pieces land. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on all of these picks. What do you guys think is the best decision for the Raiders at number 6 if we're not able to get those top 2 quarterbacks? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy Simone Raider and your boys. Yeah.